As people know with this channel, one rental at a time, my mission is to create something that outlives me by 50 years. Yes, I have told you many times that I do believe you die twice, once in physical form and a second time when the last person says your name, preferably in a positive light. So again, that is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And right now, I've gotten comfortable saying my goal is to grow the middle class. After a conversation with Simon, the uneducated economist, we kind of pivoted or tweaked it into growing the investor class. But I want to talk to my boys, Matt and Dion, because neither one of them feels right, and they don't feel right for different reasons. So I'm hoping these guys can help me noodle on it, ask me some questions, push me, and we will see where we go from here. But we'll start with Matt. You were in first, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here on a Wednesday with no hard stop.
There we go. So we did learn that apparently in New Hampshire you shut down your pool in late September. So you've winterized your pool, you said.
Pool is winterized. We still hit 70s during the day, but we hit 40s in the night.
Ah,
So
yes.
that is brisk when you jump in.
Yeah, you're not gonna want to. That's your own ice plunge or ice,
Yes.
whatever they do there. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
that's pretty
So
crazy.
all closed up.
There you go. And Dion, how you doing this morning?
We winterize our pool at the same time. Paddle boarding and scuba without your dry suit. This time of year goes out. So I come over here and I stay at the Ocean Crest for their indoor pool. So you'll see this background a few times throughout the winter
Very, very cool.
until I go to Panama.
There you go. Well, guys, I need some help, right?
Hmm.
And again, I want to shout out Dorothy, my mom. She's been pushing me for 4 or 5 years with the mission of kind of growing the middle class. I think I got comfortable saying that out loud only a couple of months ago. But it still didn't feel right. Like, why would you want to grow the middle class? What is it about the middle class? Don't you want people to do this, that, or the other thing? Then I talked to Simon and we kind of pivot and we kind of say maybe it's the investor class. But in the last, I don't know, 48 hours or so, I've actually gotten pushback on the investor class. Because again, you got to remember when you put a message out there, if the people you're aiming it for don't receive it well, it's a complete waste. And what I have heard from some people that I would love to help, the investor class moniker scares them. It's unknown to them.
Yeah.
They just default to that's not me. So I miss people I'm trying to help.
Sure.
So Dion, you're the teacher of the group. Ask me questions, make me get more comfortable with what I'm trying to do. Maybe it's vocabulary, maybe it's passion. I just don't know what I'm at. I just know I'm struggling.
So first question. So you know what an alpha male is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what an omega is?
Omega?
Or a sigma? You can go with that. There's
I know
like
what a
several
beta
different
male is.
beta. So there's beta, alpha. You got those, right?
Yep.
Have you heard of them? I'll go with sigma. It's a little easier to okay. So it's basically the outsider that doesn't fit into the categories. And there's a much longer explanation of that too. Kind of like the lone wolf. So the alpha's leading the pack, the lone wolf's out there without the pack.
Got it.
So when we talk about the middle class, I think and it's not to challenge you, it's to say I think there's a mistake in the assumption that you want to grow the middle class.
Okay.
Because the middle class is shrinking. And what I'll do to show that is just this simple data from when people say the middle class is shrinking, they just assume most times that people are getting poorer.
Mm-hmm.
The lower class is growing. So the lower class did go from 25 to 29%.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the upper income.
Yeah.
It grew by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's 7%, from 14 to 21, that's 50% growth. And so instead of thinking I want to grow the middle class, I really like the investor thing, but instead of using the term that scares people, something like the freedom class, the people who broke free. Because so with your guys' incomes and the jobs you worked in your minds, at some point you might have considered yourselves middle class.
No doubt.
I've never been in the middle class. Never once,
Really?
not ever. I almost all of my working career until the last 2 years made 60,000 or less. So I don't, and I don't think that put me in the middle class. And then I acquired investments that created income I never touched for those first 8 years. And then when I went to think, okay, I could touch it now, it was above $200,000 a year that I didn't have to work for. So I think there's a large component of people out there that want to look at the one rental at a time method of thinking this is something I'll do in conjunction with me working that will create freedom to skip the middle class, because the definition I've liked, and I've heard it online, so I just repeat it. The difference between poor, middle class, and wealthy isn't the amount of money they have or the amount of money they make. It's what they think the purpose of money is, right? Poor people think the purpose of money is for things. So if they want more things, they work for more money. The middle class, and here's why I don't think people want to be in the middle class, think the purpose of money is leverage for a big house and an expensive car so they can look successful. And then the purpose of the wealthy, they think the purpose of money is to make more money. So the freedom class is those people that aren't rich because they didn't inherit it, aren't rich because they have a 7-figure salary, right? They're not rich, but they aren't in the middle class because they don't have to work for their money. So I like the investor thing. I get it, but I understand when somebody says, oh, somebody reached out to me the other day. Can you make a video? Michelle asked, can you make a video on, can the entrepreneur mindset be learned? That scares me. I don't want to learn it. Entrepreneurs have a terrible life. Like, this is 80 to 90 hours a week, no matter
That
what.
sounds like ick. I don't want to do that ick on me.
I don't want that ick on me, right? So yeah, I'll make the video. It can be learned, but I wouldn't want to. I'm more scared by people thinking we can make you a part of the middle class. I wanted to skip that. I don't want to be the entrepreneur. I don't want to be in the middle class. I want it to be free. So that's just my two cents. So when you say you want to grow the middle class, what does that get the person that you brought into the middle class?
So let's talk about that, because I chose middle class just because the reason I chose it, let's be honest, is because it's a word that everybody knows. It's a phrase that everybody knows. Also, it's one of those phrases that really doesn't have a definition, right? You could feel like you're in the middle class at 60 grand or 250, right? There's not really these hard and fast rules. I think everybody knows the middle class is shrinking. So by taking a phrase that everybody knows, take a phrase that everybody knows it's shrinking. Most people think it's declining the wrong way. Your chart shows maybe not. It felt like a mission or a hill that I wouldn't have to fight people on. But it doesn't feel right, because again, what we're talking about here is getting rich and wealthy, right? And that's not what I equate to the middle class. So it felt like a mission. It felt like an easy hill. It felt like I wouldn't have to work to define anything. But frankly, it's always had something that's like, it's not it. It's not it. So,
Well, what do people feel like when they're in the middle class? What do they feel like?
well, again, so I felt like I was in the middle class for most of my adult life. Probably by the age of 28, I would probably call myself in the middle class.
Okay.
I would say,
how'd you feel?
I felt like I could pay my bills.
Yep.
Right. Wasn't saving a lot. I guess the big thing I felt in the middle class is I wasn't worried about paying that month's bills. I wasn't worried about buying groceries.
Which made you top third, just so you know.
Yeah, still middle. I mean, I wasn't, I didn't have a new car. I didn't, we weren't taking nutty vacations.
Yep.
But bills were not my number one concern.
Sure.
That's what I would say when I was in the middle. When I felt like I was in the middle class, my bills were paid every month. That's what I think middle class was.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I think everybody in the middle class now feels like they're only working to pay their bills, only working to keep up with life. I think if you don't feel that way, I think that's what helps you feel like you're not middle class in a lot of ways. I think a very small percentage of the middle class cannot necessarily think about, hey, do we have enough to pay XYZ this month? So I think, Dion had popped something up in the chat, and it was freeing the middle class. That's what he's right about. I mean, he's usually right sometimes, unless he disagrees.
He is shockingly right. This guy.
Yeah. But I think that the middle class thing is correct, but I think what's the concept that we're trying to help people with? It's helping them get free. Get beyond.
So it's not growing the middle class. It's freeing
them. Yeah. Because every middle class person has what? Every middle class person without
a job.
Exactly.
Has a job. They have a job. Right.
That's what we're trying to get them. When Dion talks about, financial freedom, He's talking about getting people free from that W-2 job. Even if you have some other idiot as an example on YouTube that talks about the fact that the W-2 you should keep it forever. Well, that just means you're a bad investor. The purpose is you do what you want to do. Like, I kept my W-2 as long as I did because it gave me power to make some of the moves that I wanted to make. I did. I was able to do all those refinances a whole lot easier. I was able to build the kingdom a whole lot faster. I was able to do all these things. I could have retired 10 years before I did. That wasn't the point. I wanted something much bigger. I wanted something that was going to throw off donkey choking cash flow. That was the idea. And so what you're really talking about is freeing the middle class, like what Dion had brought up. You're really talking about freeing the middle class, not growing it, because you don't want more people with W-2s.
Right.
You want more people experiencing the life that we get, which is hanging out on a Wednesday morning, talking about how you help other people. Because when yes, people that have W-2s obviously can help other people. But when you have that much more free time, you can, if you already have the right heart, then you're able to free up that much more time to help more people. Dion's helped more people since he's, been retired. I've helped more people since I've been retired. You've helped more people since you were retired because you do have more time. So I think.
Oh yeah, no question. I wasn't helping anybody but myself when I was at a job.
But the middle class, that's the issue, is that a majority of their time has to go to things that have a return on them in helping them stay middle class, just pay their bills.
Dion?
Right.
Yeah. So funny that Matt says I was right, and every now and then I'm right, unless I would disagree with him. But I think the best compliments I've ever got in my life, when I reached financial freedom and was looking at retiring and started helping the people that I know try to think this way. One of my friends who is very successful, he retired with 30 rentals. We went out one night and he told me, he says, "This is the best compliment I've ever received." He said, "Of all the people I know that we know, you're the last person I think that would have done this."
Did he just call you stupid?
Pretty much, and stupid and lazy, and the W-2 mindset. And he knew that I always had a job and he had rentals, and then it wasn't until the last 10 years that I started acquiring them. And I think that's the position that a lot of people are in. I think if most of the people who find the one rental at a time community and start buying one rental at a time, the first few years their friends and family are going to say, "What are you doing? You're in the middle class. That's something rich people do. That's something
stop
that people inherit. Stop doing that." And then they get the success of having that 4 rentals and they see the cash flow coming in, and now they're deciding if they want to continue to grow. And those same friends and family will look at them and go, "Of all the people that we know, you're not the person I thought that would have been this successful." After calling them stupid for 4 years.
Yeah. I get it's funny you bring that up. I mean, when you look at my family, I was not the guy that anybody would have thought would because people don't believe this, but I was an introvert. I was like hide in the back of the room, not talk to anybody. It wasn't until you put a commission around my neck that I realized I better go out and talk to people or else I'm going to die or, starve. So that's kind of curing. So it's funny. Yeah. A lot of people kind of have expectations. I wasn't the guy in my family that was supposed to write multiple books. I have several people in my family who are wonderful writers. I can't even spell text messages, as you guys know. I get that shit wrong all the time. It's funny, these expectations we have for folks. So, I guess I feel better already, but I want to go one level deeper. Matt, you're talking about freeing the middle class, which freeing is absolutely the right word. I will stop growing because it always felt wrong. Now I know why.
Yep.
And then Dion, you've introduced a tagline, freedom class, that feels really, really good, probably to all 3 of us, but it's also one of those words that's not been defined. Right. And again, by creating a new tag, we get to define it as a group, which would be awesome. So tell me more about freedom class.
Well, it's an oxymoron. The idea with freedom is that you don't belong to a class. Right. So that chart that I showed where the poorer people and the wealthier people are growing and the middle class is shrinking, it's because people do what is in their own best interest. And we have a government. We actually do have a government right now, even though nobody knows where the leader is, that incentivizes people to do what's in their best interest. We say, if you don't work and you don't produce, here is Section 8 housing, here's food stamps, here's child daycare subsidies, here is all of these things to say, we don't want you in the middle class. And then if you're in the middle class, they go, we'll incentivize you by saying, if you invest and you make your money through passive sources or through your investments, we're going to give you these tax breaks to bring you into the wealthy class. The government itself punishes, like we have sin taxes. If you smoke cigarettes, they're going to tax tobacco. If you drink alcohol, they're going to add alcohol taxes to it. If you work a W-2, it's the highest tax source of income that there is. So it's a sin tax that they don't want. And so we're incentivizing people to leave the middle class. I think freedom says you don't need to be in any class. Because here's the irony of it. Let's just hypothetically say somebody bought a bunch of rentals and retired 2 years ago. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars off their rentals, but because of the tax system, it looks like they don't make any money on paper. So they get the tax incentives that the government is trying to say be in this class, but then they benefit from things like the Affordable Care Act or America Cares Act, whatever it is, that says you don't make any money, so here's basically free healthcare. So you can benefit from both sides because you're free to choose from what class you want to be in. Because there are still those people who want to get free. I got a message this morning. A guy wants to get free so that, because he's starting today, he's like a year into it. He wants to be in the class of 2034 graduating class of freedom so he could be a teacher. It's not so that he can escape and go off into la la land like me and do anything you want every day. He wants that job, that rewarding job of being a teacher without having to worry about the income.
Mm-hmm.
That's the freedom, is you're not in a class. So it's an oxymoron, freedom class, where I honestly don't know if I like it yet or not. I like the freeing the middle class aspect of that's what you're trying to do. Because once they're free, then they're not in the freedom class, they're not in the rich class, they're not in the poor class. They're just like, how hard is it to say we want to be free? Because we're in America, the United States, land of the free, where try to go hunting or fishing without paying for it. Try to drive your car on the road without a license and insurance and registration. It's like we're in the land of free with all these regulations. We can escape, we can be free from the need to sell our lives 1 hour at a time for money.
Yeah, freeing the middle class is the phrase I will start saying. Growing the middle class was always wrong, but I didn't know why. Now I know why. Freeing the middle class, it's all about options. When I look at what the three of us are doing, and Anna Kelly and all these other people I talk to every week that are truly free, we're all choosing to spend our time differently. And it's always on a passion that is important to us. And the other thing I know, because Anna's been out for, I think, 4 years. Dion, you've been out for a couple. Matt, you're going on a year. Passions change, but that's because you're free. It's okay to do that. So freeing the middle class is the phrase that I will start saying. Thank you for that, Matt. I do. No, freeing the middle class was you.
I said it, but Dion typed it in the chat.
It's all good.
He did?
The three
my
amigos
bad.
came up with a catchphrase.
I didn't see that. I apologize.
It's okay.
I always like to give credit where it came from.
I totally agree.
Dion, thank you for that.
Giving it to Dion.
I do think there's something about the freedom class. I do like, because a freedom, I mean, think about the gold cards that I send out, right? The black cards, the gold cards, the purple cards. In theory, we could have a running total of the people that we've helped make the freedom class.
Yeah.
Like when Millennial Mike finally bounces.
What about join the freedom class? That's the tagline.
Join the freedom class.
Join the freedom class. We're trying to get Mike to join it.
You have to elect to do it.
When you have to join. You have to be a joiner.
You have to elect.
Like Zuber, you said you're an introvert. You're still an introvert. Yeah, I'm an introvert. If you take that test and it says, what would you rather do? Go hang out at a party or sit at home and read a book? Like, all the questions say introvert. So that we can talk to a camera. So that if you're in a room full of people, Zuber, if you, as an introvert, if you're in a room full of people, you're facing them all.
Yes.
You're not in the crowd facing the same direction. You want to be facing that's the introvert that you still are.
Yeah. Yeah. I put a shell on in a big crowd. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm very good, kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, but yeah, you get much more than 4, and I wig out. So join the freedom class. Again, I think joining the freedom class is awesome. It's a great tagline, but it's, I think then we gotta kind of break down how to join it, right? It's a journey, it's a decision, it's consistency. It's not easy. It's worth it.
Well, have you ever joined anything that didn't take action and commitment? the purpose of joining something
Nothing,
is
yeah,
there's-
nothing worthwhile. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to do. Joining something means that you have to do. There's other people in that arena that are going to hold you accountable. Dion and I have had students that talked about buying something for 2 years or 3 years. And we revisited deal after deal and thing after thing. And that person made the decision because they found the right deal that they were comfortable with, and they made the decision, they got over the hump and they're in. But all of that work has to take place. And, it's like a diet. Results may vary. Some people can jump right in and they're all in, and in 6 months they have their first good deal. Other people, it takes a couple of years, but it's all of these exercises that they're learning, and it's a commitment to that process.
Yeah. I love
So
all
they're
this.
joining is correct. Joining is the right word.
Folks, let us know in the comments below. The right answer for me is not growing the middle class. That has always been just not right. It kind of felt weird coming out of my mouth. It is freeing the middle class. That is what I'm trying to do. That is what I will be doing the rest of my life. I do like the notion of the freedom class as opposed to lower, middle, upper class. I think that is where the three of us are, and many, many others. I do like the idea of saying, I want to join the freedom class. I think there is
Yeah.
something there. So guys, I had no idea where this conversation was going to go. It went better than I expected. I feel better. It now feels like something I could say from the depth of my abdomen. Freeing the middle class. I can get behind that and go to battle, right? When I said growing the middle class, it wasn't really I wasn't going to die on that hill because it wasn't defined. But freeing the middle class is a hill that I'm worth dying on. Dion, thank you for that. You put it in the chat first. Matt, thank you for saying it out loud. It really clicked for me. Dion, where can people find you?
You can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I do a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And my live streams are a lot like these videos that we make, because what I like about live streams is people ask questions and they get to find out what an investor has in top of mind awareness, right? Do I have to research to answer it, or do I have to say, oh, I'll find somebody to answer it? Do I just answer it? Because the things I just answer, I had to know to be an investor.
Right.
So we show up here for the Three Amigos and you don't go, hey, here's the notes for next Tuesday.
No.
We show up Tuesday and you go, I got a topic. I'm going to spring it in the beginning of the video. And then you get to find out what we keep in top of mind awareness.
Yeah. I love it. And Matt?
Yeah, Lumberjack Landlord, YouTube and Instagram, 9 p.m. Thursdays. And then we have the special event tonight at 8 p.m. where we're talking about how to bulletproof your portfolio. I think that a lot of people have gotten used to easier money, and they're seeing less rental applications, fewer qualified renters. How do you bulletproof that? How do you make yourself recession proof? Because either the recession is going to make you bulletproof and break you apart, or you're going to be prepared for it when it comes. And I think a lot of people have made no changes to their business and how to bulletproof their portfolio.
Look forward to that. We're actually going to talk about that next. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.